We're thrilled to have you with us today. In this video, we'll explore the nutrition and lifestyle recommendations for KetoCitra users and share insights designed to support those with chronic kidney disease, including individuals with autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease. Whether you're new to this subject or looking to deepen your understanding, you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in together. Let's start with some important things to know about this video. This video will always be available to you. Feel free to watch it as many times as you like, and come back to it often. Watch it with your family members and friends so that they can better support you. Turn on the subtitles, CC button, to help you catch all the details. Now for some disclaimers. Let's review them. Nothing in this video constitutes medical advice. You should consult with your own healthcare practitioner regarding anything covered in this video. Everyone is different and may have additional health conditions that require modifications of the nutrition and lifestyle recommendations discussed here. As a medical food, KetoCitra is to be taken under the supervision of your healthcare practitioner. As you manage your kidney health, be sure to keep these tips in mind. Tip 1. Chronic kidney disease is a long-term condition. You will need to make nutrition and lifestyle changes that work for you long-term. Tip 2. The recommended nutrition and lifestyle changes are not just a diet. They are meant as a long-term solution. Tip 3. It is best to implement the nutrition and lifestyle changes slowly but thoroughly. If you move too fast and get frustrated, back off a bit and try again later. Tip 4. Modify these recommendations in a way that works for you. Everyone is different. It is better to implement imperfect improvements than to make no improvements at all. Now, let's get started with 6 steps to improve your nutrition and lifestyle for maximum benefit to your kidney health. So sit back, relax, and let's dive in together. Here is a quick overview of the 6 steps to boost kidney health through nutrition and lifestyle. Consider taking the medical food KetoCitra. Decrease sugar and other carbohydrates. Drink enough water. Reduce oxalate intake. Limit sodium intake. Avoid processed foods with phosphate additives. Step number 1 is to consider taking the medical food KetoCitra. You may be wondering, what is the medical food KetoCitra? How do I maximize the benefits of KetoCitra? How can I reduce the risk of kidney stones? In this video, we will answer these questions and guide you on the recommended nutrition and lifestyle changes so you can do them on your own. So, what exactly is the medical food KetoCitra? KetoCitra was developed for the nutritional management of individuals with kidney disease to support their low-carb lifestyle and to help reduce their kidney stone risk. KetoCitra is non-prescription. Medical foods are neither drugs nor supplements, but they belong to their own category that is regulated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA. The ingredients in medical foods, like KetoCitra, are classified as GRAS, generally recognized as safe. All medical foods should be taken under the supervision of your healthcare practitioner. KetoCitra contains the ketone, beta-hydroxybutyrate, BHB, in a blend with citric acid, citrate, and the minerals potassium, calcium, and magnesium. BHB is normally produced by our liver during periods of low carbohydrate availability, such as when we are fasting. Under these low carbohydrate conditions, the normal role of BHB is to replace blood sugar as the main energy source for the cells in our body. Taking KetoCitra is intended to help support your low-carb nutrition by providing energy in the form of BHB. BHB has additional beneficial effects such as reducing inflammation, and citrate helps reduce the kidney stone risk. Here are some recommendations when taking your KetoCitra. It is recommended to take KetoCitra twice per day, dissolved in a large amount of water. For example, 1 liter, or 32 ounces, for each serving. Drink your KetoCitra slowly. For example, drink the first serving during the morning and the second serving during the afternoon. Try drinking your KetoCitra during mealtimes. If you are practicing time-restricted eating, discussed later in this video, you can also take KetoCitra during your fasting window, as it may provide a sense of satiety during fasting, for example in the morning if you skip breakfast. Here are some more things to note when taking KetoCitra. KetoCitra is a ready-to-mix powder that makes a lemonade-flavored drink when mixed with water. Twice per day, vigorously shake or stir 1 rounded scoop, approximately 6.5 grams of KetoCitra, with 32 ounces, or 1 liter of water. Drink slowly, over 1 hour or more, preferably with a meal. Any unused mixture should be refrigerated and consumed within 24 hours. On your first 3 days of taking KetoCitra, you should assess your tolerance. Use only half the serving size, which is 1 rounded scoop, or approximately 3.3 grams, twice per day. If you tolerate KetoCitra well, you can take the full serving size starting the 4th day. KetoCitra is well tolerated by most people. While still rare, the most common side effect is gastrointestinal discomfort, such as stomach pain or nausea. Here are some tips in case of gastrointestinal discomfort. Dilute your KetoCitra with more water, at least 1 liter or 32 ounces per serving, and drink it slowly over at least 1 to 2 hours. Add a teaspoon, or more if needed, of apple cider vinegar to your KetoCitra. If you still do not tolerate KetoCitra, or there are any other signs of intolerance, discontinue the use of KetoCitra and contact your healthcare practitioner. There are many ways to enjoy KetoCitra. Here are a few tips. Tip 1. It is okay to dilute KetoCitra with more water, or to use warm or cold water, still or fizzy, as you prefer. Tip 2. Drink KetoCitra instead of soft drinks, such as sodas or fruit juices that you may normally drink. Do not drink any more sugary drinks. Tip 3. It is okay to mix KetoCitra with other sugar-free flavorings if you prefer. For example, some users like to add matcha tea powder or hibiscus tea. KetoCitra by itself may be powerful, but it is crucial to help with good nutrition and lifestyle choices, otherwise, you take 1 step forward but 2 steps back. While taking KetoCitra is easy, KetoCitra alone cannot counteract unhealthy nutrition and lifestyle habits. It may feel challenging, but you can make positive nutrition and lifestyle changes to support your kidney health. We'll explain more in the following slides. Step number 2 is to decrease sugar and other carbohydrates. The main goal of these changes is to switch your body's metabolism to be less dependent on carbohydrates. But what are carbohydrates, also called carbs, anyway? Carbs are one of the 3 macronutrients that we get from our food and drink. The 3 macronutrients are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Typical Western nutrition is very high in carbohydrates. Usually, over 50% of the energy we get from food and drink is in the form of carbs. Your goal is to reduce the amount of carbs as much as possible, but we do not set a particular number as the goal. As you reduce your carb intake, you may need to increase your intake of fats and proteins accordingly. We encourage you to do your best in reducing carbs, but there's no need to become overly focused or frustrated. It's important that your new nutrition habits are sustainable for the long term, feeling manageable rather than overwhelming. The goal is to feel empowered and inspired in your healthy choices. You got this. Our body uses the carbs we eat and turns them into blood sugar. Eating too many carbs can cause high levels of blood sugar. Any extra carbs that we eat but do not need are converted by our bodies into fat. The fat is stored in our body fat. Eating excess carbs can therefore also make us overweight or obese. A goal of this nutrition and lifestyle change is to reduce the carb intake so that your body will be able to lower its blood sugar level and start burning off your body fat. Not all carbs are the same. Some carbs are worse than others and cause your blood sugar levels to rise the most. There are 3 main types of carbs. 1. Sugars. These include sugars that are added to foods and beverages, such as table sugar and high fructose corn syrup. These also include natural sugars found in fruits, milk, honey, etc. Consuming sugars raises your blood sugar level very quickly. 2. Starch. Starches are long chains of sugar molecules from many plants including grains and many vegetables. Consuming starch raises your blood sugar level quickly. 3. Fiber. Fibers from plant foods are not digested by the human body and do not raise blood sugar levels. You can find information on the types of carbs on the nutrition facts panel printed on food labels, like in this example. Total carbohydrate refers to the amount of all carbs added together in one serving of the food or beverage. Dietary fiber refers to the amount of fiber in the product. Total sugars refers to the total amount of sugars, added sugars plus natural sugars. Added sugars refers to the amount of added sugars only. Ignore the daily value numbers on food labels. They do not apply to people with a health condition. We ask you to reduce your carb intake in order of priority, as explained on the following slides. Now, on to the low-carb Q&A portion of this video. 1. What is the difference between low-carb and keto? A low-carb nutrition lifestyle reduces carbohydrate intake without a strict limit. The range can be anywhere from 50 to 100 grams of carbs per day, depending on the individual's goals. The ketogenic keto nutritional lifestyle is a specific type of low-carb diet with a very strict limit on carbohydrate intake, typically less than 20 to 50 grams per day. This is necessary to achieve a state of ketosis. 2. What is ketosis? Ketosis is a natural metabolic state that our bodies enter during carb restriction, for example, during fasting. When in ketosis, the body burns fat for fuel instead of carbohydrates. In ketosis, the body also produces large amounts of the ketone BHB, which replaces blood sugar as the main energy source for the cells in our body. 3. What is better for kidney disease, low carb or keto? Both will be much better than the high-carb standard American diet, which leads to high blood sugar levels that are well known to damage kidneys and lead to kidney disease. Only a ketogenic nutrition lifestyle leads to the production of BHB, which may be beneficial in kidney disease, according to emerging research. A ketogenic nutrition lifestyle is more difficult to adhere to than a low-carb lifestyle. However, many people stay on keto for years. 4. Should I try keto? A ketogenic nutrition lifestyle is a form of medical therapy with potent effects and should be implemented with the help of an experienced healthcare professional. 5. Is KetoCitra compatible with keto? Yes, KetoCitra can be taken with any nutritional lifestyle, including low-carb and keto. Sugar in foods and drinks causes the biggest rise in blood sugar levels. There are 2 different types of sugar: added sugars and natural sugars. Prioritize eliminating or greatly reducing added sugars from your diet. Many processed foods and beverages contain added sugars. You can find them listed on the Nutrition Facts panel under the category Added Sugars. In this example, 11 grams of added sugars can be ordinary table sugar, but there are also many other kinds, such as high fructose corn syrup. We want you to avoid foods and drinks that contain added sugars as much as possible. This is your top priority. Next, try to significantly reduce natural sugars. Natural sugars are those sugars that naturally occur in foods. For example, many fruits contain large amounts of natural sugar. This is why they are naturally sweet. You can calculate the amount of natural sugar by subtracting the amount of added sugars from the amount of total sugars. In this example, 18 grams minus 11 grams equals 7 grams of natural sugar. We want you to restrict the foods and drinks that contain natural sugars. Consume them very mindfully, in small quantities. Here are some ways you can reduce sugars from your food. Read the food labels, and only buy foods with low sugar content. Avoid sweets, candy, chocolate, and desserts as much as you can. Many grocery stores offer sugar-free alternatives to common products. For example, sugar-free ketchup, sugar-free snack bars, etc. Use natural sweeteners, like stevia, monk fruit, and allulose. Do not use artificial sweeteners such as aspartame or sucralose. If you want some sweets, buy only sugar-free products with natural sweeteners. Avoid most fruits or eat them only in very small portions. Instead, eat small amounts of berries. They are lower in sugar than other fruits. Consider them a treat, not a staple. Some examples to reduce sugars is to swap out breakfast cereal for a breakfast with healthy fats and protein, and focus on eating berries as a treat. After talking about ways to reduce sugar in your foods, now we'll share ways you can reduce or eliminate sugars from your beverages. Stop drinking any beverages with sugar, no sodas, no juices, no smoothies, no sugary coffee shop drinks. Instead, drink your KetoCitra throughout the day. You can dilute KetoCitra with as much water as you like, and use it as a tasty drink for much of the day. Bring a hydration bottle with KetoCitra along with you wherever you go. Still thirsty? Drink mostly water, still or fizzy. Moderate amounts of coffee and tea are okay. Instead of milk and sugar in your coffee or tea, use heavy cream and a natural sweetener like stevia, monk fruit, or allulose. Your next priority is to reduce starch intake. Many plant food ingredients contain starch. For example, potatoes, corn, grains, rice, and many others. Starch is a long chain of sugar molecules that are all stuck together. This allows plants to store large amounts of sugar. Our body digests the starch back into sugar. Therefore, eating starch will also raise your blood sugar level. Unfortunately, the amount of starch is not directly listed on food labels. However, you can calculate the amount of starch using the following equation. Total carbohydrate minus dietary fiber minus total sugar equals starch. In this example, 24 grams of total carbohydrate minus 5 grams of dietary fiber minus 18 grams of total sugar equals 1 gram of starch. Because starches make up a huge portion of carbohydrates in many foods in the Western diet, we want you to reduce the amount of starchy foods as much as you can. We want to note that dietary fiber is okay. Even though dietary fiber is included under the category total carbohydrate on food labels, it is okay to eat as much fiber as you like. The reason is that fiber is not digested by our body, and therefore does not raise the blood sugar level. We do not want you to restrict the amount of fiber in your nutrition. You are encouraged to consume the amount of fiber you prefer, as long as you tolerate it. You may be wondering, what do I eat instead of carbohydrates? We are providing you with a shopping list of food and beverage items that we recommend to use while you follow a low-carb nutrition lifestyle. This is not a mandatory list but should give you a good idea about the foods and beverages that you can use. Please try to consume items from this list as much as possible. You may also want to know how to reduce starch from foods. Here are some suggestions. Avoid the staple foods that are the highest in starch such as pasta, bread, rice, potatoes, cereals, pastries, and chips. Read the food labels and only buy foods with a low content of net carbs. Net carbs are the total carbs, minus the dietary fiber. As you decrease your intake of starchy foods, find replacements that are higher in protein, fat, and fiber. Consider swapping out pastas, breads, and pastries with higher protein, fat, and fiber. Step number 3 is to drink enough water. What does the research say? Microcrystals and stones can form in your kidneys while they are making urine. Note, this is an exaggerated illustration. These microcrystals and stones damage the kidneys and worsen the progression of kidney disease. So, why is hydration important? It dilutes the urine, which decreases the risk of forming damaging microcrystals or kidney stones, and it flushes them out and prevents damage. Your hydration goals may vary depending on what stage of kidney disease you are experiencing. Always check with your doctor and adjust your goals accordingly. If you have mild to moderate kidney disease, a common recommendation is to drink about 3 liters of fluid per day, equal to 100 ounces. Check with your doctor to make sure this is the right goal for you. If you are experiencing late or end-stage kidney disease, your doctor will recommend the right amount of daily fluid intake for you. When kidneys fail, they cannot properly produce urine, and you may need to limit your fluid intake. Here are some suggestions to help make sure you get enough water throughout the day. 1. Drink each serving of KetoCitra in a liter, 32 ounces, of water. With 2 servings per day, this will give you 2 liters, 64 ounces, of fluid intake. 2. Drink another liter, 32 ounces, of other fluids. Water, still or fizzy, coffee, in moderate amounts, or tea, in moderate amounts, are a few examples of ways you can increase your fluid intake throughout the day to help you meet your hydration goal. As you aim to reach your hydration goals, there are a few adjustments you can make to further support your kidney health. 1. Avoid sodas. They contain ingredients that may worsen your kidney disease, such as sugar, artificial sweeteners, or phosphate. 2. Avoid fruit juices or smoothies. They contain a lot of sugar. 3. Avoid sugary coffee shop drinks. They also contain a lot of sugar. 4. Adjust your hydration goal as necessary. If you sweat a lot on a hot day, or due to heavy exercise, you may need to increase your fluid intake. Here are some alternatives to sugary beverages. Replacing high-sugar coffee drinks and sweetened teas with black coffee, herbal tea, water, or a KetoCitra drink will help better support your kidney health. Step number 4 is to reduce oxalate intake. What is oxalate? Oxalate is normally produced in our body as a waste product and excreted through the kidneys with the urine. Oxalate is also contained in many plant foods, often in very high amounts. Plants use oxalate as a poison to avoid getting eaten. Any oxalate we consume from plant foods must be excreted from our body through the kidneys. This can expose the kidneys to dangerously high levels of oxalate. If we consume too much oxalate from plants, our kidneys may not be able to handle it. Oxalate can then form microscopic calcium oxalate crystals inside the kidneys. These crystals damage the kidneys. This can worsen the progression of kidney disease and also lead to kidney stones. Here is the scary and highly exaggerated picture again of oxalate microcrystals inside kidneys. Here are some ways to manage oxalate consumption. Learn which foods contain the most oxalate. Santa Barbara Nutrients provides a list of the oxalate content of many foods you can access online. Use our shopping list online, which indicates the foods that are low in oxalate. Focus on foods that are low in oxalate. Any foods that are high in oxalate can be easily substituted with low oxalate foods. For example, eat lettuce instead of spinach. Some foods that are high in oxalate are spinach, rhubarb, beets and beet greens, Swiss chard, nuts, especially almonds, peanuts, and walnuts, cocoa powder and dark chocolate, soy products like tofu, potatoes and sweet potatoes, many beans and bran cereals. How to identify oxalate in processed foods. Many processed foods contain ingredients that may be very high in oxalate. Unfortunately, the oxalate content is not listed on the nutrition facts panels on foods. To find out if there may be oxalate in processed foods, you have to look at the list of ingredients on the food label, which is next to the nutrition facts panel. In the example on the left, almond butter, cocoa, and almonds are ingredients that are very high in oxalate. How to neutralize oxalate from your foods. Oxalate strongly binds to calcium when they are mixed together. If you consume calcium together with any foods containing oxalate, the calcium will bind the oxalate in your gastrointestinal tract and prevent its absorption into your body. Always try to pair a meal containing oxalate with a good source of calcium. What are good sources of calcium? Dairy products such as milk, yogurt, and cheese. KetoCitra. This is why it is recommended to drink your KetoCitra with your meals. How does KetoCitra help make your kidneys more resilient against oxalate microcrystals and stones? The calcium in KetoCitra helps to neutralize oxalate from foods when taken at the same time. The citrate in KetoCitra helps to raise urine citrate levels. Citrate is the natural defense of kidneys against calcium oxalate microcrystals. KetoCitra helps to normalize the pH of the urine. An abnormal, acidic urine increases the risk of forming calcium oxalate microcrystals. Step number 5 is to limit sodium intake. What is sodium? Sodium is an essential nutrient, and we always need to consume a certain amount of sodium with our nutrition. There can be negative health consequences if we do not get enough sodium. Sodium is in table salt, also known as sodium chloride, and also comes naturally in many whole foods. Can we get too much sodium? Yes, sodium is added to many processed foods, and most people consume too much sodium. What happens if we consume too much sodium? It raises blood pressure, which creates hypertension. High blood pressure is damaging to kidneys and worsens the progression of kidney disease. How much sodium should I consume? The sodium goal is very individual and depends on your level of kidney function and other factors. Your doctor will recommend your sodium goal. Generally, individuals with kidney disease should lower their sodium consumption. How do I know how much sodium is in foods? The sodium content of foods is listed on the nutrition facts panel. To the left is an example of where to find the sodium content label. Some tips for managing sodium or salt consumption. Ultra-processed foods are usually very high in sodium. Focus on whole foods and minimize the consumption of ultra-processed foods. Use little or no salt to cook at home. Restaurant foods are usually very high in sodium, choose your dishes carefully. Some examples of foods high in sodium include soy sauce, instant noodles, and many canned products. Salami and other cured meats like bacon, ham, turkey, and sausage. Salted snacks like potato chips, pretzels, crackers, and nuts. Frozen pizzas. Processed cheese. Breakfast cereals. Sauces like teriyaki, barbecue, ketchup, etc. Breads. And frozen entrees. Additional things to consider about your sodium intake. Ask your doctor to regularly check your blood sodium level to make sure that it is neither too high nor too low. If you start a ketogenic nutrition pattern, you may need to increase your sodium consumption temporarily because minerals can be depleted from the body in the transition to ketosis. KetoCitra is sodium-free, so you don't have to worry about it increasing your sodium levels. Step number 6 is to avoid processed foods with phosphate additives. What are phosphate food additives? Phosphates are a group of chemicals containing the element phosphorus. Phosphorus is an essential micronutrient, and we have to consume a minimum amount of phosphorus. However, most people consume too much phosphorus. A common source of dietary phosphorus are ultra-processed foods and beverages that often contain phosphate food additives. Phosphate additives are used by the food industry as preservatives, to improve texture and stability, as leavening agents, acid regulators, or emulsifiers. Phosphate food additives have no nutritional value. Why should people with kidney disease watch their phosphate consumption? In addition to oxalate, phosphate is another renal stressor. Excess phosphate that we consume has to be excreted through the kidneys. If too much phosphate is filtered through the kidneys, it can form calcium phosphate microcrystals that damage the kidneys, and may worsen kidney disease, just like the calcium oxalate microcrystals. The phosphate from food additives is more readily absorbed by the body than phosphate from whole foods. Therefore, it impacts the kidneys more. Focus on reducing the consumption of ultra-processed foods containing phosphate from food additives. How to identify phosphate food additives? Phosphate food additives can be difficult to spot on the ingredient lists of ultra-processed foods. There are many different kinds of phosphate food additives. However, all contain PHOS in the name of the chemical, as shown in the example picture. Try to avoid foods that list ingredients with PHOS. PHOS in phosphate food additives is underlined in red in the example. Examples of ultra-processed foods with phosphate additives. Processed meats, packaged and processed cheese, baked goods, snack foods, soft drinks, instant and convenience foods, prepared meals, and breakfast cereals. Tips to manage your phosphate consumption. Carefully read ingredient labels, and stop buying ultra-processed foods and beverages containing phosphate food additives. Drink your KetoCitra with meals. KetoCitra contains calcium and magnesium, which help to neutralize phosphate food additives by blocking their absorption into the body. Here is a quick overview of the 6 steps to boost kidney health through nutrition and lifestyle. Consider taking the medical food KetoCitra. Decrease sugar and other carbohydrates. Drink enough water. Reduce oxalate intake. Limit sodium intake. Avoid processed foods with phosphate additives. Few more tips before we finish up. When should I eat? Give time-restricted eating a try. Most of us are used to eating all day long, from breakfast after we wake up, to a late-night snack before we go to sleep, with many meals and snacks in between. To give you the maximum benefit of KetoCitra and your low-carb nutrition, we recommend reducing the time window during which you eat. A good goal is to only eat during an 8-hour period every day, and fast for the remaining 16 hours. This is called 16 to 8 time-restricted eating. For example, you can do this by skipping breakfast or dinner. For example, you can eat your first meal at 11 a.m. and finish eating dinner by 7 p.m. Note, you do not have to accomplish a strict 8-hour eating window immediately. Start with a 12-hour window and subtract an hour every few days, after you have gotten used to it. Whole foods versus ultra-processed foods. Ultra-processed foods contain many ingredients including chemicals that have no nutritional benefit, and may even be harmful for someone with kidney disease. We strongly recommend buying whole foods as much as possible and buy ultra-processed foods as little as possible. Staying away from ultra-processed foods will also save you money. Instead of shopping in the snack and instant meal aisles of the grocery store, consider shopping in the produce section and at farmers markets. What about eating out? Eating out either in a restaurant, when visiting friends, or at work, can be challenging, but here are some tips. Being prepared can go a long way. If possible, bring your own food to work or have food before you go to an event that may not serve low-carb and kidney-friendly options. When eating out, check the menu before you go. Most restaurants will actually have options. But there are few that do not. Make sure you know this and be prepared for it. Choose low-carb dishes. Salads and meats are usually okay. Ask the wait staff to modify your dish, such as requesting leafy greens instead of rice or a bun. Request sauces on the side. These are often the main source of hidden carbohydrates. When eating with friends, share your new nutrition lifestyle with them and make it a fun challenge to eat low-carb dishes together. Consider bringing your favorite low-carb dish to share. Prepare a bottle of KetoCitra to take with you. You may not be able to control the oxalate content in your food, but if you have KetoCitra with you, it will be fine. The key mindset is to keep the big picture in mind. Eating out for a special occasion and can't make the perfect food choices? That's okay. Enjoy the event and just make sure before, during and after you are making the best choices for your health. Instead of eating foods like fried chicken and French fries, opt for grilled meat and vegetables. What about alcohol? We recommend you reduce your alcohol consumption. If you want to drink alcohol, limit the drinks containing carbs such as beer and some cocktails. Instead, drink, in moderate amounts, dry red or white wine, and spirits such as whiskey, vodka, and tequila. Warning: alcohol is injurious to health. We discourage alcohol consumption. Making changes, even positive ones, can feel overwhelming. Here are 4 steps to help you get started. And remember to start small and build your healthy habits over time. Prepare for change. Here are some steps to help you prepare for your nutritional and lifestyle changes. Step 1. Get your household members on board if possible. It's easier to make nutrition and lifestyle changes if you don't have to do them alone. The recommended changes should be beneficial for almost anyone. Let your family support you by eating the same foods that you do. Step 2. Clear out your fridge and pantry. After watching this video, identify all the foods and beverages that you will want to avoid, and either discard them or give them away. It is easier to stick to your new nutrition lifestyle if you do not have these foods and beverages around the house that can tempt you. Step 3. Go shopping. Use the provided shopping list. It is best to buy more foods and fewer processed foods. Before you buy any items, double-check the food labels to make sure there are no hidden ingredients. Step 4. Find inspiration. There are many websites and YouTube channels dedicated to low-carb lifestyles. You will be able to find many recipes and helpful tips. Enjoy your new foods. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember to share this video with family and friends for extra support, and to rewatch as many times as you need. Step by step, you can make lifestyle and nutritional changes to benefit your kidney health. If you want to work one-on-one with a healthcare practitioner who is familiar with ADPKD, chronic kidney disease, KetoCitra, and a low-carb lifestyle, take a look at SBN's list of practitioners on our website. For community peer support and helpful discussions, you are invited to join our Renal Nutrition Facebook group.